Hey, how are you feeling? It turns out this can be a surprisingly difficult question to answer. Many of us have typical responses like, I'm fine, I'm okay. And then we immediately ask the other person, how are you? In an effort to shift the conversation away from ourselves. Self-awareness is basically the ability to accurately describe what we feel and think and why. Turns out that one important indicator of our level of self-awareness is something called emotional literacy, which is basically the size of our emotional vocabulary, like literally the number of emotion words you know. If it's hard for you at the moment to see why that might matter, just stick with me, because by the end of this video, I think you'll agree with me that emotional literacy is important, especially during a time of crisis, which many people in the world are in right now. Brené Brown has done research into emotional literacy. So she defines an emotionally literate person as someone who can name around 30 different emotions off the top of their head. I want to give you some perspective on that number. So in a workshop that a colleague and I did a few months ago, we set a timer for 2 minutes and I asked people, hey, write down as many emotion words as you can think of without looking for anything to help. Very few people, in fact, I think nobody, wrote down more than 15. And remember, Brené Brown says emotional literacy means 30 words or more. And there are a lot of emotion words in the world. So why does this matter? That's an important question, especially if you just got laid off, or if you or someone you love is sick, or if in general you just feel overwhelmed by the number of crises going on in our world right now. It's legitimate to ask, why does it matter whether someone can name lots of emotions? Like, it sounds almost selfish or ridiculous. I want to share with you one perspective on why it matters. So according to the research, your ability to answer the question, how am I feeling, is actually dependent on your level of emotional literacy. If you don't know a lot of emotion words, you won't know how to use them to answer that question, how are you feeling? You won't know how to apply them to what you're feeling and thinking. In other words, you're going to have low self-awareness. People who have low self-awareness are less resilient, they're more confused by what they think and feel, they're demotivated because they don't understand how to effectively cope with stress, and they're often more difficult to be around, which means their relationships may be strained or maybe even non-existent. I'm an executive and a life coach, so a lot of the work that I do is just help people name exactly what it is that they're thinking and feeling. Sometimes that's the most valuable thing I can give to them, is to help them put a more accurate name on this like a vague sense or a hard to pin down feeling. This is true of very high performing leaders and seemingly successful people, that they can struggle to just put names to their emotions. In a crisis, which many of us are going through right now and the world is experiencing right now for a lot of reasons, we can all use more resilience, healthier coping mechanisms, and a greater ability to separate our circumstances from the way that we respond to those circumstances. Because this will set you up to feel more centered, and then you can more effectively serve people around you and be positioned to take advantage of good opportunities that present themselves to you. As an example, if you've lost your job and you're trying to figure out what to do next, growing your self-awareness will help you to cope with that stress more effectively and probably be a better applicant and a better interviewee. So there's a lot of ways to increase your self-awareness. Here's one that I recommend to you, and it has to do specifically with growing your emotional literacy. After you watch this video, open a timer and set it for 2 minutes. Don't look at anything to help. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, write down as many emotion words as you can think of in that time. Count them when you're done. Next, Google lists of emotion words. There are a ton of them. Find some that are full of a lot of good words, read through them, and then try to connect as many of them as you can with specific experiences you've had. Look up definitions for emotion words that you're not familiar with. This simple activity will increase your emotional literacy, which can help you grow in self-awareness. And it's something that you can control. And it's really important right now as you're faced with a lot of uncertainty and we're in a world with a lot of things outside of our control. It's really important to remind yourself, what are the things that are within my control? This will help you become a more resilient and emotionally intelligent person. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.